Welcome to The Faithful Servant, a podcast reaching you in the midst of your battles, where you can find hope, joy, wisdom, and healing. My name is Eric Howland, and at the end of the day, my hope is that I can hear the words, "Well done, my faithful servant." 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the land not a creature was stirring, not even a lamb. For God was still and quiet throughout, for he knew what was about to come out. The prayers to the heavens were said with a shout that a day would come. Visions were had of an angel above, that a child would come, bringing a gift that would last. A mother with child, a virgin at that, and a father not knowing what to believe, when all of a sudden a noise came to be, that they would be what the world would need. Parents to the one for all to see, the gift that would be hung on a tree. For healing and peace was all that would be. So, welcome to this week's episode of the Faithful Servant Podcast. It's Christmas season, so Merry Christmas to you all out there. The Christmas story. I think we all kind of know what it's about. For God loved his children so much that he brought his one and only son to be born to a virgin, a miracle at that, so that we could have life. But I'm going to kind of twist this up a little bit, and the reason for the Christmas story is so that we could let go of our past. See, I think many out there, along with myself, often find ourselves living in the past. We allow those past hurts, that trauma that we've lived with for so long, beat us down. Beat us down to the point where we can't even forgive ourselves. And that affects everything. It affects how we work. It affects how we play. It affects our relationships. It literally affects everything. We don't allow ourselves to be healed. And a little history here is the Bible is split up into Old Testament, New Testament. But one thing that's often not understood about the time between the Old Testament and the New Testament is God did not speak to his people for 400 years. God went silent. He was a little upset with his people. For time and time again throughout history, he gave them chances to turn and focus back on God. And it got to a point where God says, I'm just going to go silent. I'm going to be still throughout the land. And the people didn't know how to handle that. They kept living in their past trauma. They kept living for the world. That's all they could focus on. They focused on themselves. And it finally took God saying, you know what? I need to change this once and for all. And thus the Christmas story began. It began by God coming down to Mary and Joseph and telling them that you're going to have a child. And this child is going to be special. Going to be so special that no longer will my children ever have to live in the past. For he is coming to heal everyone. He's coming so that our relationship with God can be healed. Letting go of the past. It was almost as if God is saying, you know what? I have flooded the world and you still didn't obey me. I have brought famine, I have brought destruction, and you still won't pay attention to me. It was almost as if God was saying, you know what? I'm here to finally let go of the past and forgive you once and for all. And here it is in the form of my son. And that's the Christmas story. The Christmas story is God letting go of the past and forgiving us. So can you? Can you let go of the past and forgive yourselves? Can you let go of the past and forget those who have harmed you or have hurt you? In this season, it's a new beginning. It's a time for us to be able to become and step into God's purpose. It's to step into the new creation of who we are and who we will become. And God's saying to you right now, here's my gift. Second Corinthians 5:17 says this, therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away, and behold, all things are becoming new. So when you're celebrating Christmas this year, when you're sitting around as a family, recognize that God has given you something new. Maybe this year has been hard for you. Maybe you've had a broken relationship this year. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you've been hurt by a friend. So as you're sitting there, put your focus on what God's gift was. When you look at the Christmas tree, try to remember that it was Jesus who died on a cross, a tree, so that your old is gone. Your past is gone. And you are now made new. One of the hardest things to do, and one of the hardest things I've had to work on over the years, is to try to forgive myself. I am my worst critic. And I beat myself up. I'm a failure at everything, it seems like. But I don't define myself anymore through those failures. I define myself as all the things that I've learned through those failures and who I've become. With each failure, I've become someone better. And I think that's the whole point here, is that it's a continual growth. A relationship with God is not a once and for all thing. Is here, you've said the prayer, you've accepted Christ. If that was the case, if it was that simple, then God wouldn't have needed all of this. But he wants us to become closer to him each and every day. It's a journey. He wants us to be followers. He wants us to recognize that each day is a new day. It's a new chance for us to choose to be closer to God, to follow him, to let go of that and step into this. I've had to learn that. I've had to learn through some hard circumstances that it's okay to forgive myself. I've had to learn to forgive those people around me, my dad, relationships that ended. I've had to forgive them so that I could step into the new me and become a stronger version of me. And the only reason I can do that is because God sent his son, Jesus. That's it. Without him, I wouldn't have the capacity to be able to forgive. Because it was God who forgave us first. It was God who chose to love us first. All in a manger. Forgiveness and love reigned once and for all. So, Christmas is upon us. Are you going to step out and become a new creation? Are you going to forgive yourself? Are you going to forgive others? Because I know if you do, and you step out into doing those things, and commit to a journey with God, recognizing what he did for us, you will hear the words, "Well done, my faithful servant."